course, NFL football. So quite a bit to discuss yet. We'll try and squeeze it in an hour or less. I'm usually not very good at that sort of thing, so yeah. We'll see. Okay. Whew. Well, it feels like it's about football time. It really does. It feels like it's about football time. What do you say? We go football? Yeah, let's go football. All right, so we call the football talk here the spew. Since I'm recording the show on Thursday night, I get to watch the Thursday night football game while I'm doing the show here a little bit. So I just want to start with this, and then we'll get to Vikings at some point in time shortly. But the game tonight, oh my gosh, turn on your ESPN later tonight, or look it up on the internet whenever you get the chance. Look at some pictures or some footage from this game. This game looks like the Skittles Bowl Championship, or the M&M Bowl Championship, where we've got, after playing through all the different colors, we've got red versus yellow, playing for it all. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are wearing a solid red uniform. The pants are red, the jersey's red, the numbers on the jersey are damn near red. And then, ironically enough, on the opposite side of the field are the St. Louis Rams, wearing nothing but this horrible mustard yellow color. Mustard yellow pants, mustard yellow shirt, and their numbers might even be mustard yellow, just outlined in the dark blue or whatever. But these are the two most ridiculous freaking pro football uniforms, especially worn in the same game, that I've ever seen at any point in time. The one nice thing about it is you can't miss a single player on the field, and you clearly know what team said player plays for. But oh my gosh, it hurts my eyeballs, and I don't know. I need to think more about it. My initial response is just, ouch, and why? But I don't know. If I was playing it on a video game, I picked the two most opposite colored jerseys because I can see the best. So but still, boy, I'm telling you, phew, check it out. It's bad. I don't know. Unless you're colorblind, then I guess it's not so bad. But, all right, so there you go. A little hidden gem to start out our spew talk, where we talk football. Whew, man, it is winding down. We have 3 weeks to go in the regular season. That's it. We got 3 weeks to go. Fantasy football playoffs are here. Best of luck to you if you are in. I was in 4 leagues this year, season-long leagues. I made it to the playoffs in 2 of those 4 leagues. Granted, one of the 2 that I made it in is an 18 league where everybody's in the playoffs. But I'm like the 3 seed. I'm like the 3 or 4 seed there. So I would have made the playoffs anyway. But so it just, man, how does the football season fly by so quick? No other sports seasons are like it. But alas, that's where we're at. 3 games to go. Vikings are 8-5, and they will have 2 home games coming up, back-to-back home games, both against teams with losing records. So the Vikings, those are the games the Vikings win. So we got to come out and we got to win, take care of business, win those 2 games, and then whatever, the chips fall where they may. Was a heartbreaking loss the way it ended for the Vikings this past Thursday, only because of the final play of the game, and then 1 or 2 critical, just inexplicable what are they thinkings at other points in the game as well. We'll dive into that a little more detail here real quick in the purple vein. Of course, I will do the song. But for now, let's mix up the NFL talk, the order of the NFL talk, the way we usually do. Let's recap everything that happened last week, and then we'll go over the standings. Do next week. Throw the somewhere in there. All right. So last week again, I've been consistently mediocre here in my picks. The last several weeks, right around 50%. This week I was one game worse. Last week I was one game worse than 50%. Thursday night, as I mentioned, Cardinals beat the Vikings 23-20 in a game that the Vikings weren't even supposed to be in. The Carolina Panthers crushed division rival Atlanta Falcons 38-0 in Carolina. Wow. Cam Newton had another really big game, touchdown passes wise there. He is not the MVP, and he's not the runner-up for the MVP. But we'll discuss that next week, because that is becoming a hot topic that I just can't stand how wrong and stupid people are on it. But then back to last week's results, we had the Bills losing a close one in Philadelphia, 23-20. The Redskins beat the Bears, come back on the Bears 24-21 in Chicago. The Steelers beat the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati 33-20. And in that game, injure Andy Dalton, likely out for the season. Best case scenario, he comes back sometime in the playoffs. Andy Dalton was one of your top 3 MVP candidates until, above, by the way, Cam Newton, until that injury. Now it's looking like Cincinnati might even have to fight just to win their division. They'll have a home game in the first round. But Denver's falling. You never know. It's getting pretty crazy. But bad news for Cincinnati. Not the way that they deserve to go out this year. Let's see. We also had the San Francisco 49ers losing in Cleveland 24-10. Johnny Manziel probably won that game for him, and nobody wants to acknowledge it. But that's just, I don't know. Everybody's just so, one or the other. Like, and most people are anti-Manziel. I was anti-Manziel before all this stuff came out about him officially, needing rehab and stuff. Like, hello, guys, do you look at this guy with your eyes open? Or is your head that far up your butt? Like, anybody should have been able to tell that and know that about Johnny before he was drafted coming out of college. So then now that he actually tries to, he tries to own it and do the right thing. That's when people decide to go, oh no, now we're against him or whatever. Like, whatever. So I'm a tiny bit on the Johnny bandwagon, but not as a football player. Mostly just as a person who's treated unfairly by the rest of the world for the most part. But, so he gets a win at home there against the red-hot 49ers led by Blaine Gabbert. Jeez, just so many bad quarterbacks and injured players playing on teams right now. My Lanta. What else did we have? We had the Lions lose in St. Louis 21-14. We had the Jets win at home over the Titans 30-8. That was a no-brainer. Indianapolis Colts gets crushed in Jacksonville by the Jaguars 51-16. Matt Hasselbeck goes down in this game. Colts are in major flux. That division is still up for grabs. Colts we'll get to that in just a second. Chiefs stay hot, edging out the Chargers 10-3 in Kansas City. Buccaneers lose at home to the New Orleans Saints 24-17. Saints Mark Ingram out for the year, now on IR. Seahawks win in Baltimore 35-16. Again, felt that was a lock even though it was a road game. Baltimore just has nobody. Their starting quarterback, their number one running back, and their number one wide receiver are all out for the rest of the year. So, no reason to believe that Baltimore beats any team that's decent. For the rest of this season. We had Oakland coming from behind in Denver and winning 15-12 over the Broncos. Brock Osweiler. And now, people are finally starting to look at all of the numbers and not just the wins, and seeing that, while he has been a, somewhat, for the most part, he's been a step up from Peyton Manning, but not necessarily. Maybe it has been 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's just, maybe specifics as far as the mistakes are different, but it's still the same amount of mistakes, and the same results from those mistakes. So Broncos lose at home to the Raiders, 12-15. Crazy. Did not see that one coming at all. We had the Cowboys losing in Green Bay 28-7. Cowboys again on their 12-string quarterback. No reason to think they're doing anything unless it's against some crappy team in their conference, in their division. And then in the Sunday night game, we had the Patriots handedly handling. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say there. The Houston Texans in Houston by a score of 27-6. Gronk was back. Patriots looked back in general. Houston loses Brian Hoyer to another concussion. It's his second. Not looking good for the Houston Texans. And their quarterback situation sounds like TJ Yates will be coming in again, or they'll be looking for a total new guy off the streets. And then in the Monday night game, which I got to see a tiny bit of footage of, the very end of it on the TV at the place I was at, the Giants win on the road over the Miami Dolphins, 31-34. I predicted that the Giants would score 31 points in that game. I just predicted that the Dolphins would score 34 instead of 24. But so that was your results for last week's games. And so now let's get you up to date then on where that left us in the standings. The Patriots are in first place in the AFC East at 11-2. The Jets are in second place at 8-5 and shooting for one of the coveted and highly competitive 2 wild card spots in the AFC playoffs. Bills on the very outside of that race at 6-7, and the Dolphins at 5-8. In the AFC West, we've got the Broncos at 10-3, and the Chiefs at 8-5 could still win their division as I predicted. That's right, and as the brilliant Jonas Knox also predicted. Or they could get one of those 2 wild cards. The Raiders trying to hang in there at 6-7, and the Chargers competing for the top pick in the draft at 3-10. Bengals 10-3, Steelers 8-5. Same as the West for 1-2 there. Ravens 4-9. They're obviously out of it, and the Bengals at 3-10, competing for that number 1 draft pick. And then in the South, we've got 6-7 Colts tied with the 6-7 Texans for first place. 1 game behind them are the Jacksonville Jaguars at 5-8. That's who I'm pulling for. And then again, competing, fighting, battling, tooth and nails for the top pick in the draft would be your Tennessee Titans, also at 3-10, with the Browns and the Chargers. Then moving over to the NFC. We will save the crummiest division for last, as we did with the AFC. Starting out in the NFC South, you have 13-0. Unbelievable. I cannot believe that the Carolina Panthers, of all teams right now, are 13-0. But yes, the Carolina Panthers are 13-0. They are going to have... They're 3 wins away from a perfect regular season, which has only been done twice to my knowledge. Only once has it led to a Super Bowl championship, and the other time is the only time that it has been done in the 16-game regular season format, where it was done by the New England Patriots, who were upset in the Super Bowl by the New York Giants. So, interesting to see. But here's the thing. I'll stop here for one little bit. We'll get into it more in coming weeks, I'm sure. But so many people out there are Cam Newton MVP, Cam Newton unanimous MVP. These people are morons. Don't be one of these people, and don't listen to these people. If don't look at the team record, okay? I'm challenging you, okay? When looking at Cam Newton, just for a second, just to have some perspective, okay? Throw the team record out, because it is a team record, okay? Don't give him all the credit for it. Throw that out. Just look at his numbers, and look at where his name ranks in all the quarterback categories, just amongst quarterbacks in the NFC, let alone in all of football. We'll just stick it to the NFC.